Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are. Welcome to My Creative Life. I'm Key, and I am here with my good friend, the queen of No Cap Just Raw, Miss Princess.
Hi guys, what's up? I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, and we're always dropping those gems. Once again, y'all got to subscribe. You have to comment. You have to like on both of our channels, okay? So over at No Cap Just Raw, we have this amazing series called A Valued Girl. And if you check out those videos, you'll find something that resonates with you. Today's Mindset Monday here on my channel is a continuation of a conversation we've had on No Cap Just Raw. And it's all about recreating yourself. In the last video, we went over what the process of recreating yourself is, what it feels like, what goes on mentally when you're peeling back those layers, what goes on when you're confronting yourself and saying, this is right for me, this is wrong for me. Today, we're going to try to understand, and y'all can chime in when y'all feel like it in the comments. We're going to understand what it is to actually be there. How does it feel to have recreated yourself? What does it look like? What's that process? What do I, now that I'm done recreating myself, what's my day to day life? So
Mm,
I want to start by asking Miss Princess a question, and I hope my questions are as good as hers. um, what do you think it will feel like, or what does it feel like when someone has recreated that themselves and made that shift?
I think it feels really good. I think it feels light and airy. And what I mean by that is when you're playing a character, there's a lot of pressure to be something that you're not. And I feel like before the process of recreating yourself, some of us find ourselves in a place where we're playing a character and we've been playing this character for so long that we can either get depressed or we become stressed out because it's frustrating when you have to be something that you're not because you want approval, you want acceptance, or you want to feel like you fit in somewhere in this world. And I definitely know what that feels like. I do feel like there was a time in my life where I did play a character just so that I could fit the mold or that I could be accepted and somebody could see me and say, oh, you can join, you can sit with us. But that never happened. Never happened for me.
Wow.
And I'm glad that it never happened because now I'm in this place of recreating self. And it's something that I've also found that you do from time to time. You recreate yourself from time to time to be a better version of yourself as time progresses.
So to reiterate, it'll feel like a shift from heaviness to this light, more aligned feeling. And I do agree with that. I really do. Um, and you know what? I've gone through processes where I've shifted from feeling heavy to feeling light, and then I get a little bit scared in that light feeling because the heaviness felt so certain. The heaviness felt like, okay, I'm used to dealing with this. I'm used to navigating the world and just giving everybody what they would feel comfortable with. But now that I'm in the space that I actually desired and I actually felt comfortable with, it's different and it's kind of scary. So that light feeling feels like I'm not certain that I'm going to feel bad today. I'm so in control of my life that I'm like, what do I do now? Because I'm so used to following these predestined scripts for, for you to just fall into it. Like you said, like it really is a shift from doing what everybody else thinks is right or doing what's safe. And I say safe in our quotations because safe is really just the ego driven desire. It's like just stay the same. Don't grow because this is all I know. So moving from that feeling of feeling like I'm not going to grow and I know it and I feel okay with that, or I feel used to this heavy feeling to, okay, now I'm stepping in my own path. I have my own direction. I set my own pace. That feeling can be scary after going through dang near a lifetime, no matter what age you are, if you are going through this shift where you're recreating yourself, that is a lifetime of preconditioned behaviors. And you're like, it's shifting. So I agree with it feeling lighter. How do we continue? How does someone continue to feel light and feel okay with feeling light?
You know, someone once said, can't figure out who said it, and once I do, I'll get back to you. But that success is found in your daily routine, what you do on a daily basis. And I think that to continue something, you have to find the pattern and the routine. You have to create a routine and create a pattern for that very thing that you want to continue to succeed in. So if you've gotten to a place where you are satisfied, you feel fulfilled, and where you are in the creation of self, you feel like I am my divine self. So what did I do to get to that point? What habits did I enact? What habits did I put into place to be this person, the person that I was always predestined to be? And so, in figuring that out, you're going to continue to do those things that create that success of who you are. And people say, waking up early is good for you, journaling, spending time with family, talking to friends that are truly friends, that, embrace you for who you truly are. And finding that one hobby or that one thing that you are so passionate about, turning it into a lucrative income stream. You know what I'm saying? So all those things I feel like, and maybe I just described to you what my routine would look like in terms of in the place, in the space that I'm in, of divine self.
That
This
was
is a
actually going to be the next question anyway. So thank you.
we're so aligned. It's crazy. Now,
Right? And I
this is
promise
so
y'all, this pink wasn't even planned out. Like, we just did it.
this is crazy, y'all. Like, you guys don't understand, like, the synchronicity that her and I just kind of fall into. Like, it just happens, and it's like, okay, that's not coincidence. How did you know that? Like, no, Key, like, it's scary. Like, you be telling me things, and I'm like, this girl was in my prayer closet. Like, how did she know that God was
Same here. Same here.
stuff?
So she's already answered the next question with the routines. What is one habit that you think that your ideal self has that you don't have right now that you'd like to adopt in your daily routine?
Ooh, that's a big one. You know what? And I know the answer to it because I'm actually going through that right now. Gratitude. Okay, so check this out. And this is crazy because there's a scripture in the Bible, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, and it talks about how we should think. And it talks about the things that we should think about. We should think about things that are pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. And mind you, Key, I have read this scripture since I was a kid. And it never dawned on me that this is actually not something that you should just read. This is actually something that you should do, like, on purpose. And in the past few days, I've been practicing more gratitude. And me, I'm thinking, I'm grateful for everything that I have, but speaking it into existence is just a whole nother ballgame.
Oh,
And so this is a habit I've been forming, a habit of having an attitude of gratitude. And I have a girlfriend of mine. It's funny. God has a sense of humor. She has been talking to me a lot about that. And she's always expressing gratitude. And in my mind, I'm just like, she's always saying happy Gratitude Tuesday and things like that. And she's always talking about what she's thankful for. And it's funny because God has been allowing her to do that because that was a habit that I needed to form within myself. And it just happens to be that it's and don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet, y'all. But from time to time, when I catch myself thinking about something negative, I turn that negative thought into something positive by expressing gratitude and reminding myself, like, I'm alive. I have good health, and I'm so thankful for my good health. I'm thankful that I'm breathing today. I'm thankful that I'm not in a hospital bed. Little things like that that someone may say, "Oh, that's silly." It's not silly. It actually has a lot of power behind it. And gratitude has power. It does something to you. It's crazy. I can't even explain it.
Practicing it myself, it does have a lot of power. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because actually not funny, but it's synchronous that you mentioned that, because right now, I feel like my ideal self has no problem with receiving. My ideal self will be like, receiving so much at one time that it becomes a norm. But when I got to that alignment in the state that I'm in right now, or have been in the past, I was like, okay, this is too much. And so I stopped practicing gratitude, or I stopped being so open to receiving, because I'm like, all right, this is too much attention. This is too many people being like very friendly. Like, I got scared because I wasn't used to that. And my ideal self has become used to that. But when you're going through the process of recreating yourself, is such a big shift from no one's paying attention, no one cares, I'm down, da 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 da. Like, everyone just turns their back on me. When I shifted that in the past, I was receiving so many gifts, and I had these blockages, these newfound blockages that I created, which were, oh, you're spiritual, you're not supposed to be showing off these manifestations. You're not supposed to be showing off your abundance. That's disgraceful. That is bloating, boasting. That's boasting. That's being egotistical, materialistic. That's being driven by the wrong force. And I was battling between, like, am I supposed to share my blessings and encourage other people? Or am I just supposed to keep these things to myself? And finding that middle ground was and it still is, it's a challenge. But I feel like my ideal self is going to be comfortable with, hey, look, yes, I got these material things because I followed my path, because I am spiritual, and because this is God showing me that I'm blessed with all these promises. I mean, my business is called Manifest Abundance Here and Now. And I'm over here denying abundance in so many ways, right? Because I'm so scared. It's like, I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. But once again, that's me thinking from the external to the internal. So I know my future self will just be blessed with like so many things. I just have to open up to receiving again. I don't have a habit, and I need to develop a habit. This is a good video because now it's going to encourage me to develop that habit. But I don't have a habit right now that allows me to be comfortable with receiving blessings. I'm so scared. I'm like, this is because the last time I've gotten to that space, it was just like so much like gifts here and there, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit guilty. Like, this is too easy. It's like, maybe it's supposed to be easy, but telling that to a person that just freshly shifted, that it's supposed to be easy when you're in alignment, when you are following your purpose, is almost unheard of. It's like, I went through a life of strife. My adversity had become my identity. And so telling me that it could have been easy this whole time is hard for me to accept. I'm so used to fighting for it, begging, crying, this whole process that is difficult. That when you tell me that all I had to do was open up to receive and be grateful, and all of it just pours in, that's too big for me. So getting to that space, once I know the shift, staying in that space is the next thing. Like you said, gratitude is a big one, and I do teach that to my clients. I preach that to anybody who's viewing. Gratitude is amazing for staying in a space of receiving and for finding the guidance that you need. It's not only just material things, it's also spiritual. When you say, thank you, God, for what you have brought me through, the things that you've taken out of my life so that you can replace it with better, I'm grateful for that. Watch the shifts that you continue to go through. It becomes a norm of being aligned. That is a major thing. So if you're looking to continue your journey with recreating yourself and being in this new self-identity, this new inner narrative, stay with gratitude. Princess made a good point with that. Sticking with gratitude is the best thing you can actually do. Um, so have you noticed any miracles or any new shifts? I know you mentioned your friend coming through and being like Gratitude Tuesday, but have you noticed any other indicators that shows you that you're shifting?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that. I'm actually learning to feel my feelings. Um, I know that sounds really funny, and I'm going to explain. Um, I think for a long time, I spent many years being guarded, and I didn't realize that that was actually holding up the growth process. So when you're in the recreation process, there's a lot of things you have to be surrendered to. And I mean, literally surrendered. And that is very, very hard because surrender um, can look different for everyone because everybody has to surrender something that's holding them up. And I think I was holding myself for so many years, trying to protect myself, trying to guard my heart so that people don't hurt me. And I've been hurt a lot. Everybody's been hurt. But I think that my response to hurt wasn't very healthy. And so the Lord just began to show me how I need to surrender self so that self can grow. And he was like, if you want to grow, you need to feel. You need to allow yourself to feel. You don't want to hurt. So every time something happens, you act like you're numb. You don't feel it. Oh, that doesn't hurt. And you hold everything in. You hold your tears in. You hold your emotions in. And I did that for so long. I was like, I'm a gangster. Gangsters don't cry. Thugs don't cry. and and listen, you can be a gangster and still learn how to, you know, release your emotions and be human. And uh that also, came into just, I guess, I don't know why I'm thinking about femininity and things like that. I do feel like it does play a role in being a woman, because as a woman, we are emotional. We're emotional creatures, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's in our nature. So to deny yourself the ability to cry, the ability to be sad, the ability to shed a tear, the ability to mourn, to weep, that's like that's so bad. Like I didn't realize how
Mhm.
bad it was. It's like a sin. Like you're hurting yourself. You're doing self-infliction on the inside. You're bruising your heart in ways you have no idea. And people don't realize when you hold all these things in, it can make you sick. Physically, you can really get sick. Bottling up all these emotions and this hurt and this pain. Your body has nowhere to store that energy because your emotions they turn and convert into energy inside of your body. Key, you can speak to that.
I mean, exactly what she's saying. It's a physiological thing. It's a mental connection to your physical body. Your brain actually controls a lot of your body. And if you are stuck in a space emotionally where you feel depressed, where you feel stressed out, it starts to affect your adrenal glands. It starts to affect your body in so many different ways. Actually, crying scientifically releases a lot of stress hormones. It's a way to reduce the cortisol, the other, the adrenaline in your body. And you have to come into terms that your mind is actually a very powerful tool. And I say this in so many of my videos because it is true. If you tell yourself that I am weak because I'm crying, and actually scientifically, you need to cry that energy out because guess what? If your fight or flight instincts are activated, first off, if you don't fight or flight, you haven't come into a full reaction of what your body is naturally feeling physiologically. And like she said, you're storing that adrenaline and it's tearing down your organs. That's what happens when you keep that adrenaline in your body. If you're not using it, then it's going to tear through you. If you have stress and you just wake up, it starts to affect you in so many different ways. It affects you subconsciously. You're going to do behaviors. Either they can be avoidant behaviors or toxic behaviors. that will exacerbate any kind of ailments you may have forming in your body. Like, for instance, if you're trying to avoid a conversation with somebody, you go to a bar and you start drinking, and you try to find a good time to fill that void or fill that space that you actually need to feel and heal through. The only way to heal through something is to feel it. If I don't know or accept what's going wrong, I can't receive the right remedy. So if you're holding on to that stress, you're holding on to those emotions that you can't express, it shows up. You can't run from them. What's done in the dark always comes to the light. And you were mentioning femininity. Um, Recently, and this is why I love my fiance, I realized, like, oh my gosh, I'm that gangster person too. Like, in my last relationships, if you made me mad, I'm not crying with you. I want it to be over and done with. If you argue with me, I'm going to win the argument because I want to win the argument, and that's it. But that came out of a place of, I didn't know any other better ways to handle it. I was learning at the time, or I really wasn't aligned with that person. This wasn't my true heart's desire. Like, I didn't have a real idea of what love should look like. But now I find that when I argue with my fiance, or if we argue, I'm crying right afterwards. I'm like, I don't want to argue. So there has been a shift in my life where I found that form of expression to be very releasing. Like, I've never cried after an argument with any of my exes, any of them. I was just angry and I'm figuring out ways to get the heck out of that relationship. And I mean, granted, those relationships were not balanced relationships and we did not complement each other energetically. I mean, you just learn that as you go. I did not want to fix it, but I feel a sense of guilt with the man that I love, that I cry about it and I let him know, like, I'm sorry, I apologize, and I don't want to argue, and I really do love you. Like, anytime we come into a disagreement, it's just like, I always feel that feeling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know you are the first man that I've actually felt like I don't want to lose? And it's a big feeling. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, expressing yourself brings you into your natural energy. One of the universal laws that we have and that we talk about in spirituality or in knowledge of our spirit in general is the principles of gender. Now, this is not to talk about gender in the form of transgender, LGBTQIA2QP. There's a lot of letters that go there. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the natural laws. There is male polarity, there is female polarity in this world that helps us to create. When you are in your element, you are in your natural energy, things just balance out and your body reacts to that in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a long form answer to what Miss Princess was talking about. I can get into that in another video if you guys want me to. I can talk about it all day, but there are probably, we say 11 universal laws, but there can be 12 or 13 if you ask them more. But they talk about polarity, they talk about mentalism, how we are all one. It all works together. It all works together. You can't deny yourself. To deny yourself is to condemn yourself. Mm-hmm. To condemn yourself is to condemn another person. To condemn another person is also to condemn yourself. So it all matters. You can't deny yourself your true human experience. It is a beautiful experience. It is a process. It is a journey. It is a creative pursuit to express. And it is so rewarding when we do such things, right?
Yes.
So we're all creating the next best version. And I want to know, like, how do you find security and knowing that this moment is leading into the next moment? This moment of creation is leading into the next moment of creation. How do you find security in that?
Oh my gosh. I think that when you find yourself in that space where you do something you've never done before in that moment in time. So you ever relived a moment over and over again, and you keep having the same response, and then one day just clicks in your brain where you're like, wait a minute, hold on. I've done this. It's like being stuck in a rut. And so you kind of find yourself doing the same thing until it clicks and you're like, I've done this before. And I'm going to choose to do something different in this moment because I'm reliving it. And some things even feel like deja vu. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm always having the same argument with this person, or we always have this disagreement, or road rage, for example. I used to get a lot of road rage. I always had the same response. A lot.
I can't imagine. We are discovering Princess today.
Right now, you didn't want to double cross me on the street because you're gonna get off the road like in 0.5 seconds with me. Because I used to get so angry that I would literally I would speed up, I would cut you off, I would slow down, and you'd be like, what is this, a Fast and the Furious movie? And it's like, no, it's me, and you should have never skipped me, you know. Listen, I'm putting all my business out there, y'all guys. Don't judge. I used to get the worst road rage. It's not even funny. But now, as I'm learning to feel me and feel my feelings and emotions and not just tuck them away and act like they don't exist, I'm like, honey, sweetie, it's not good for your complexion if you're just bottling up all that anger on the inside and you're trying to hold your tears back. I'm learning to feel things. And it actually makes me calmer, makes me happier, makes me more human, understanding to my neighbor, if that makes any sense. So, I get on the road, I drive now, somebody cuts me off. I'm like, wait a minute, girl. Different response. So I have a different response to things. And I feel like you build confidence in certain situations, like to speak to what you're asking, when you've done something you've never done before. As you're reliving that thing or you're reliving that moment or that experience, because sometimes some things come to test you so you can grow and be better. And especially when you're in the recreation process, like recreating yourself, you're going to take a lot of tests so that you can pass your tests and get to that next level of becoming divine self. I wholeheartedly feel like people who walk in that space are unbothered. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing bothers them. And nothing should bother you, because when you are being yourself, truly self, divine self, nothing can really penetrate you. Nothing can really pull you down. Nothing can destroy you unless you allow it. You give it permission. You give it access.
I would love to be in that unbothered space 100%, but life is the canvas and we're painting it with our emotions, and we can't have the light hues without the dark shades. And so, finding, from what I gathered from what you just said, so finding your security is actually through repetition, knowing that you're doing a new action and it's creating a new result. And also just knowing that there is going to be something better. There's going to be this new sense of self that is something that would create some security within me, right? That's why I actually do teach manifestation. Really, manifestation is this beautiful practice. It is looking at the good and the abundance that you already have so that you feel good and you create more of it. You create these amazing feelings. It is the opposite of greed. We are not talking about greed. We're not talking about, I don't have enough, so let me go make enough. We're talking about actually embodying a sense of self that is abundant, so that you do the things that create more abundance for you, abundance of happiness, abundance of joy. But manifestation is what you're talking about. It's doing something new. All right, so if I come into this moment and I recognize it and I know that this is a test, let me try a different answer. Let me look at this multiple choice test. I could yell, I could scream, I could fuss, I could fight, or walk away. I need to choose one. Haven't I done the yelling? Haven't I done the screaming? Haven't I done the fussing? Haven't I done the fighting? I have. So now it is time for me to walk away. Or, you know what? I'm unbothered by it in the first place. You know what? You have a good day, ma'am. You have a good day, sir. Bless you. Like, just let it go. That's a big one. Letting things go. Now that you are, because we're in a space, we're talking from a space of you've recreated yourself. Now that you are recreated, you are your new self. How do you handle situations? One thing that Princess said was being unbothered. How do you get to that unbothered space? In spirituality, we call that enlightenment. We call it the space of absoluteness almost. Like, it might be a bit different in definition, but when I'm speaking of a space of being absolute, it's like, hey, I'm good with however it goes. I accept it. And because I accept this situation, it's easier for me to let it go. It is not a space of I am in control and it has to go this way. If it doesn't go this way, then it's a problem. That is ego. That is the lower vibrations. When you come to a sense of enlightenment, absoluteness, unbotheredness, you realize that what you set and your intentions actually comes to fruition. Um, what you pray for actually happens, especially when you hold a space of peace, when you hold that space of this is a fleeting 5 second moment. Yes, I might have a little bit of anger from this moment, but in 10 years, am I going to care about this little 5 second moment? And why should I? Do I want to hold on to that in my energy? No, I don't. So that's a place where I'm actually working on right now. Like, things still bother me. I have to let it bother me and then just deal with it and realize, hey, you know what? It bothered me, but okay. Like, sometimes I have people that I'd rather not be around. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be around. I'm so focused on it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be there. Like, when I would go to work, I don't want to be around people today. And I'm tired and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I just build up this whole narrative in my head. My identity at that point is, I'm angry and I'm the employee that doesn't want to be there. And I did that every day. Instead of just focusing on, hey, guess what? What's that part when you get to the end of the day where it's like, I'm going home. And you're like, you know what? I'm so thankful for that part where I'm going home. And it makes me happy. And it's like, I'm just happy and I'm praying that I make it home safely. And that shifts my focus. So if you're having issues with feeling secure in the transition of recreating yourself, focus on the results that you will experience. Focus on that end goal. How will you feel when you have shifted? How will you feel when you've received that blessing? Because they are coming all the time. The only person that can block it and mess it up is you and your thinking. But how would it feel to have successfully held a sense of peace up until the full manifestation of your blessing, of your prayer? Think from that space, and that helps you to feel secure. Um,
I want to add to what you're saying about, you know, being unbothered. To be unbothered is to be bothered. So let me explain. You have to know what it feels like to be bothered to understand what it means to be unbothered. So when I say unbothered, it's also a way of saying that it's just a change in your response. And I always like to say that life is 10% of life is what's happening and 90% is your response. So whatever happens in life, it really doesn't matter. All that matters is how you respond, and how you respond, it is the determining factor of what the outcome will be. And
mhm.
so response, you are in control in that moment. You get to choose. In every moment, you have the power to decide, how am I going to respond in this situation? Am I going to be stressed out? Am I going to say, you know what, it's going to work for my good? And there's a verse that I know, this is my back pocket verse, Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good of those that love him and that have been called according to his purpose. I know he loves me, and I know I'm called, and I know I'm chosen. So it's like, whatever happens, whether it looks bad, really bad, it has to work in my favor. And it's not just it has to, it will work in my favor. So when you are of that mindset, It's not to say that you don't have feelings anymore and that people won't do things that won't make you upset, but it's to say that I'm unbothered in the sense that even if you stubbed my toe, there is a beneficial factor for me in that. Either I'm going to learn a lesson in that, because everything is to empower you. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Everything is to your benefit. You just have to be of that mindset.
Amen.
You get to unbother it, you know?
Hmm. Amen. Yes, I love that answer. I'm glad that you actually delved into that a bit more. So, y'all, today has been a great topic. I feel so amazing about this. I actually feel so inspired to create more habits in my routine. What I want you to take away from this video is to set a goal. What does your recreated self look like? What does your recreated self do? Okay? What do they do? How do they respond? As we've iterated, response is a big one. How do they respond to those pet peeves, those difficult moments? How do they respond to the good moments? Think about this and start embodying that every single day where you can, okay? Every day we're being tested, and every day we have a chance to apply a new answer, okay? So if y'all are on this journey, if you're a valued girl or a valued man, no discrimination here. If you are looking to create that self-worth and create a new self-narrative, check out our series on No Cap Just Raw. We have the queen of No Cap Just Raw right here, Miss Princess. Subscribe to her channel, like the videos. Subscribe to my channel, like my videos, request some topics. We're talking about it all here. There's nothing that we won't talk about, hopefully. But y'all, we want to hear what you think. We want to connect. With that being said, stay happy, stay healthy. Peace out.